this was actually not the first startup idea that I and Dhruv had, right? Startup idea was to like create T-shirts, right? But not for like adults who 18 plus people who can actually pay for it. We thought that we'll create good graphic motivational T-shirts for kids in schools. Initially we didn't like we were very carefree, right? We just took it that especially like and we were also that definitely we'll be able to raise funds. So people have to travel a lot, take holiday from work, and had to face a lot of difficulties, which was the reason that they would just imagine that you buy a new car and then there was a small issue and then you had to send the car back for servicing for 3 months. It is a bit hard to imagine that how working with a bionic hand will be, right? So it becomes a tougher decision for them. On the first page there was one thing that all your sins will be forgotten if your product is good.
Welcome to the Newzchain Podcast, where we spotlight inspiring startups and their monumental achievements in making our world a better place. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by a startup that's not just achieving excellence, but is truly uplifting humanity most profoundly. Imagine a world where technology bridges the gap between possibility and reality, where innovations like the infamous Zeus, a bionic prosthetic arm from Aether Biomedical, offers not just hope, but real tangible solutions. With 12 different modes, Zeus brings more versatility to the table than our interns could even dream of. So let's raise our glasses to Aether Biomedical, a beacon of innovation, making the world a bit more inclusive and a lot happier. Remember, no dream is too distant and no aspiration is too ambitious. With a bit of support and a lot of determination, the possibilities are endless. Because while wielding a robotic arm might sound like a leap into the future, for many, it's the simple joy of embracing a loved one that truly matters. Sitting with us is the visionary behind Zeus, Dr. Faith Jiwakhan, co-founder of Aether Biomedical. Dr. Faith isn't just creating cutting-edge technology, he's crafting new beginnings, enabling moments of love and connection. So give it up for him. Dr. Faith, before we start, I just had a question for you. Did it sound or, even feel as cool as James Cameron might have during Terminator while you were coming up with the idea of Zeus?
No, actually, the like we never envisioned Zeus to be strongest bionic hand or something that would look so cool or something. And going mentioning how it looks, right? The first prototype that I personally designed didn't look as much cool. But one thing that we always had in mind, and how this journey started, was we were very saddened to see that even with the high-end devices which are present in the market, the dropout rates were really really high, right? Just imagine that you purchase a brand new car knowing that half of the people who have purchased this before are not using it, right? So that's the only thing that we had in mind, right? And rest, the looks and everything, I think we'll have to I'll just have to thank my designing and engineering department for it. To be very frank, this was actually not the first startup idea that I and Dhruv had, right? Startup idea was to create T-shirts, right? But not for adults who 18 plus people who can actually pay for it. We thought that we'll create good graphic motivational T-shirts for kids in schools, right? And even that was a great idea, but something that I could not get myself to be passionate about, right? But when Dhruv, Dhruv, my co-founder, right? He like when he got a 3D printer, right? So and we opened it for the first time. So we just thought, we'll start off with making really cool stuff and everything, and we did the same thing. We made the Elder's wand and all the free designs which are available online. We printed phone cases for our friends and keychains, yeah, everything. Like we went through the whole thing, but pretty soon, like I think under a week or 10 days or something, we realized that no, like the cool factor is not enough, right? We want to create something that we want to like that we are actually, we see that okay, we're able to make some change, right? And fortunately at that point, during our during our rounds, we came across this issue that not only there was an absence for a bionic hand, but we felt the whole rehabilitation system was broken. Nothing was data driven, right? And this was something that excited us. And I think being first time founders who were just like in the middle of their med school, where usually there is a culture of entrepreneurship in engineering colleges, but it was not so much prevalent in medical schools, and I'm talking about 2016 here. So uh, I think I think we took our sweet time, to explore all the opportunities. Gracefully, we fell in all the pitfalls imaginable. Right? I think I read a book. It was called Lean Startup, right? And I started reading it in the evening, right? And in the middle of night, like completely, I panicked, and I was banging Dhruv's door, and he woke up, and I'm like, we have made all the mistakes which are listed here. Right? And he's like, still, yeah, the only way is upwards and outwards, right? And yeah, so that was a really striking realization. But because we were so much driven with solving the cause, we kept on it. Yeah.
That's commendable. Like, uh, just tell me something. You had this idea, right? You had the 3D printer, you had the idea. How did that develop into a concept? Like, what were your first steps, like to put this thing on paper? Like, I hear you talking about a book. I hear you talking about, you and Dhruv must have had those late night conversations, right? Going back and forth about the idea, like, this is something we should do. This is the and especially like the way your startup is very keen about service, right? So how did you convert that into a physical prototype in the first place? Like what were the steps that you took?
Yeah. So, like, um, it took, as I said, we took sweet time to reach where we are. So initial idea was like we had the problem statement in mind, that okay, we have to like there's something broken in this rehabilitation system. But I think we did not even had that that understanding that okay, how will we repair, how will we, what's actually, like there's something missing, but what is missing we didn't know, right? And the obvious thing that would come to anyone's mind is that okay, if there is not a good prosthetic hand, let's make a good one, right? So we started with like designs which are available online, printed them. We were fortunate enough to find someone like near our home, uh, who was suffering from upper limb amputation, right? And someone from our from our hospital. And there is also a person that we met during one of these pitching events, that was fortunate enough to give us those reviews, right? So initial idea was very straightforward. Let's make something that is very cheap, we'll get it to a lot of people, and that would solve the issue. But we pretty soon realized that, like just making something that is cheap and out there won't solve the issue, right? If we have to solve the issue, we'll have to make a really good product, right? and then we started developing it. And usually the back and forths that we had, well, like of course for the product, yeah, right, how expensive should it be, right, how will the people like accept it, right? So these things were very common, right? But amongst all of these things, one thing was very very sure that whatever path that we take, right, it has to make a tangible difference in someone's life, right? We cannot just make it for the sake of making it, right? And these things, I think, like those discussions that we had, and initially it was just not about like prosthetic. It was, we would sometime have an idea about like how can we change like glasses or something, right? Like or can we make some other products? So like we would, like while making this prosthetic hand, we were tinkering with different ideas as well. At one point, I remember that like we were we were almost out of money and nowhere to go. There was no like, so we had raised funds, but the funds had not hit the bank. So like we were out of money at that point. So yeah, like no, it was not panic. We knew the funds are coming. Like the fund, term sheet, everything was signed, so we knew it was coming, right? But at that point, there were no funds. So what to do? We were just there. So we even made a music instrument with one of Dhruv's connect. So he was doing his masters in music or something, right? So yeah, so like those discussions were like those things, those small fun times were there, right? But we always were very sure that this is definitely, we are having fun, but in the end there should be a tangible outcome, right? We have to create some difference, right? It cannot just be nothing.
Of course. So, like the first, we were talking about funds, right? And of course, I guess it takes time and it takes a lot of patience to even find someone you can pitch your idea to, let alone have the funds approved and like get that in the bank. So, what was that whole experience like? Like your first pitch and like what was your first raising round? How did that go?
Initially we didn't like we were very carefree, right? We just took it that like especially like, and we were also like that, yeah, definitely we'll be able to raise funds, right? We were in that sort of scenario that, yeah, like fundraising, of course, like we are smart people solving a real problem that is out there, even though we lack a couple of engineering skills, but we'll gain those. We were studying. I was doing mechatronics, he was doing his electronics, right? And the product is good, the concept is good, and everything. So definitely we'll be able to raise funds. So we never went into the pitching event with a lot of stress or something, right? Of course, there was stress of pitching, right? But yeah, it was like the initial ones. There was the stress was nowhere to be found. It was just a lot of excitement that like there is something that we have created. And always we had that benefit that where everyone was making an app, right? Or even if they had a hardware product, like it was not that, like, so we went into a pitching event and there was someone who made an energy saving tube light, right? And great invention, like you have to save energy, but he cannot bring that into the presentation, because, and even if he did, it will be a tube light, right? So not so visually appealing in my opinion, right? So like we always had that benefit, and I still enjoy that, like when I go to an airport or something like that. So like we get all the eyeballs, right? So we had that, and it was yeah, it was just so exciting. Like on my bike, I and Drew would sit like with our small hand in our backpack or something, and just go there. And a day before we'll have this, and we used to pitch together, right? So he'll say a sentence, I'll say a sentence. It was more dramatized, and like, and we had a ball. We had a ball, and the best part is every pitch would be different, right? After every pitching event, we used to get a lot of feedback, and the next day we're like, yeah, 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 definitely, like now it's different. Now we have cracked it. Now we have cracked it, and used to, and it kept on going for like I think more than like 3 6 months or something like that, till the point where we actually knew that, okay, this is something that we have boiled down to. And after that, so before that, fundraising was just like, like, can't you see we are doing something exciting? We are so excited. We're smart people. Just give us money, right? Right? And it doesn't work like that. And after all those iterations and everything, when the idea, like when we so one of the first investors that we had, right, health start, uh, we met the director once, right? And he told us that, currently you don't even have, like, like, how many people are there in the market, what will be your price point, what will be, like, all those questions which are currently asked in Shark Tank. We did not have answers to, like, most of them, right? And he told us that, when you'll have answers to all of these things, I'll be the first one to invest in you. And exactly 12 months after that, they were actually the first people who invested in us. And in those 12 months, we then it stopped being a game. It became very serious. We got answers to all of those questions. Of course, in startup, everything changes every day according to market, and we have to adapt. But at that point, we knew what we want to do and how to proceed with it.
Yeah, so my question was basically like, you guys manage your time, and like you said. So initially, was it just you and Dhruv who were managing the funds and the research part, and how was that going? How were you managing your personal, like day-to-day funding and everything?
Yeah. So, like, yeah, it was just me and Dhruv, but pretty soon we realized that, like, we lack those abilities, right? So, like, so we hired some interns or engineers, initially mechanical designers, who, like, mechanical engineers who also had some idea of how to do coding and everything. I learned to design, like, mechanical design by myself. Dhruv did some online courses. At that point, like, we were doing like one course every 2 or 3 days from Coursera or edX, right? And initially the courses were paid, but we used to write, like, this is something new, please give us please give us this for free, because we didn't have, like, any money, right? And or and yeah, so we do courses, learn whatever is required. We just do a particular course about that, okay, I think this is lacking at this point with this, you know I remember there was even a point where we were going to pitch, right? And we didn't have a, like, we wanted to have a video that explains our process, right? And I called someone online, and I was like, "Can you make a graphic design or something?" And they asked for 35,000 rupees, and it was like, come on, man, like, we are college students, like, and so I saw online few videos and something, and I made something very bad, but I saved 35,000 rupees, right? So so we made that. So this was how, like, how we were managing regarding funds. I like Dhruv and I initially reached out to our parents. We asked for 2.5 lakh rupees each, right, from them. And I think I've heard it, I've heard this at some place, that, like, initial people to invest in your startup are friends, family, or fools, right? So right, we got to our parents, and it's very fair as well, because they know that, like, cracking med school was not that tough. So these are the people, if they are determined to do something, uh, I think they'll be able to do. And I just told my parents very very blank that like this is uh, this is something that I want to do, right? For me, this is a lot serious, but for you, just think of something that like. Maybe it's I'm not asking for a foreign vacation, something like that, right? So just just give that, and and I'll make sure that something good comes out of it. And they were really skeptical of it, but I think now and now they might be convinced, I hope for that. And regarding studies, so yeah, like we were studying a lot, but for the things which are required for the startup, right? How to build a pitch deck, electronics, mechanics, and everything. And regarding med school studies, so as I said, Dhruv dropped out in second year when we started, so he pretty much he's like, I'm not so much into it, and he went for business school. Currently he's studying for his masters in data science, what we currently require. But I made a promise to my parents that I'll complete med school at any cost, and also because like I genuinely liked I was genuinely interested in what we got to learn in during med school and everything, and but yeah, I'm not going to say that the examination periods were not stressful. I used to panic a lot, and my friends would just go crazy consoling me, right?
Yeah, med schools can be difficult, and of course, like you said, like when you were saying your parents were skeptical. In my head, I was like, let it be supportive, let the word be supportive. But as Indian parents, that's not usually the case. But yeah, and well, that's really great. Yeah, like if you were managing that, like it was almost something that you were pushing against at the same time.
I think more than my friends helped me a lot, right? And so like just a month before the exams or anything, I would just go to them, begging, so that you guys have learned everything. You need to revise, right? I am like I'm completely blank, right? You can just whatever you have studied, just recite that in front of me, right? And I would try to grab. What I can, right? And yeah, I don't know how. I think it's mostly with hopes and prayers I was able to pass med school in one go. So that was also one thing. I didn't have to take a drop year or something, because like I have like 7 8 doctors in my family, right? So they would have just gone crazy if I would have to take a drop year.
So, were there any major setbacks? So, this was your year zero, right? And moving towards year one, we were talking about the investment that you raised within going back to the same investor after 12 months, right? So, did you face any major challenge like while transitioning from running without funds and getting your first check, right, or first deposit of like your investment fund?
Yeah. Mm, talking like the first 12 months, like of course, shortage of funds was not big of a challenge. Uh, uh, Thankfully, we come from privileged families. We could have always gone back to our parents and raised funds, but inability to raise funds raised a lot of questions that we are lacking something. So it was not that okay, like we don't have funds, how should we proceed? It was more like no one is investing. How can we learn from this? How can we learn from their feedback, right? So first year just went like that, like uh, we took we celebrated every setback, because when we were rejected in pitching events, when we used to go to a lot of them, right? And we celebrated even when we received some prize, right? So celebration was the same, because in everything we're like, yeah, we are learning, this is a learning experience, right? So we are getting something out of it. But after getting the first fundraise, that's when, that's like what I said before, that's when everything sunk in that, okay, now we are responsible for someone else's money, right? Our parents, when we were pretty chill, that okay, we'll blow that, right? But now it's someone else's money. They have put faith into our company, into our vision, right? And this also proves a bit that this is something substantial, right? When a person who doesn't know you, who doesn't know anything about you, right, and who has just met you a few times, and they trust this, that means this is something, this problem is actually worth solving, right? So that's I think that's when that responsibility and everything just fit into place, that okay, now we have to take it seriously. And so just after we received that money and we started working, we realized that okay, it's not going to be that straight, right? So the first fundraise was not that stressful, but the second one, like, the after that, when we almost went out of money, right? And we had received a couple of grants by then, but so as I said, like, we had commitment, but we didn't have the money. So that was the period when we were doing things here and there just to keep ourselves occupied, so that from wherever, whatever we can learn, right? Just to do that. But yeah, those things were pretty stressful, because after raising the first round, we hired a couple of engineers as well. The we didn't There was a 3 BHK that we had in Delhi, so like one room and the hall was where we would work, and in two bedrooms we would just sleep. So it would just be sleep and work and sleep, everything like that. So when we ran out of funds, like, the same place, like, the people, when we had to break this news to them, that like, I don't think we'll be able to manage, right? And for some time, we did ask our parents, ask them for money from our pocket money and everything. We paid them whatever we can, but so that was very, very heartbreaking, right? That was very daunting. The same place where we used to work for the whole day, and then have fun in the night and have crazy, that same place became a torture chamber, so to speak, because there were really good people who were ready to work, who would come to work without pay, right? Believed in us that we would turn things around. And we had hopes from a couple of places. We had one grants, but we just had to finalize that, because that like, what to do next, right? So those couple of months were pretty daunting. But yeah, like, somehow, I don't know, I don't even know how, but somehow we managed to get a grant from Poland, and that gave a new beginning to our company. Yeah, new direction to our company.
So, tell me something. This is all Zeus. Like, this is all through the development of Zeus, if I'm correct.
So this is Zeus. Hey, every finger can move, yeah, individually and everything. You can do a lot of actions, right? But and I like, as I said, good, like, best thing about having a product like Zeus, that you get all the eyeballs. But there is other part of the story, is that Zeus is only one part of the problem that we are solving. So whole rehabilitation scenario that we see, it's not at all data driven, right? The such high dropout rates. So of course there were hardware problems, right? For example, the first thing that we heard from someone was that, uh, I'll buy your product if you can show me that, even if you bang your hand on the table and it still works, right? I'll buy your product. And like, this was the first thing that we developed. But uh, but we pretty soon realized that, like, okay, this has solved some issues, but not the whole thing. the like we came back to the first problem that we identified, that, the whole system is broken. And when we made one part of it, we realized that, okay, what are the other things that are missing? And that's when we started and we had the bandwidth to start work properly on our digital therapy platform, right? So currently, even if there is a small issue or something like that with other products, right? The person, so like we manufacture the hand, then there are prosthetists who assess the patient, and they take their signals, make a socket, which is the connection between the hand and the stump, right? They make the connection, they provide the training, and then they send patient home. If there is any kind of issue, that can be a socket issue, electronics issue, hand issue, training issue, right? So if there is any kind of issue or difficulty that patient is facing, there was only one solution: come back to the clinic. Now these clinics are concentrated in like metro cities all over the globe, right? So people have to travel a lot, take holiday from work, and had to face a lot of difficulties, which was the reason that they would just imagine that you buy a new car and then there was a small issue and then you had to send the car back for servicing for 3 months, right? Pretty soon you'll just realize that, okay, like I'll just walk, right? So that's the thing that was happening. So with this digital platform, any kind of software modification that we can do when patient is in front of us, we can do no matter where he is in the world, right? We can see signals, do modifications, make a completely new grip out of it, and even track their performance, give them goals, right? So that even when they've left the facility, they can self track themselves that, okay, I'm hitting these marks. And even those small increments, it helps give a lot of motivation. So Zeus and our digital platform, that's when we that's the whole picture. That's like what we realize, that now we have a complete full stack solution. But bionic hands is was just part of the problem, which we found very striking, because the dropout rates were so high, adaptation was so low. But even with other devices, this digital therapy platform is lacking. That's why we call it a digital therapy platform, Ether digital platform, because going forward we want to onboard many different products, either from us, from other companies, to take benefit of this platform, where you can provide better and data driven services and rehabilitation to patients.
And Zeus is the only product in the market which like possesses this kind
Yeah.
of technology
Yes,
right
yes,
now.
yes, yes. As of now, yeah, this is the only
That's
one.
great. So, like, what was your process like during the hit and trial? Like coming up with a prototype. Were you always thinking about this thing? You told me, and we have had a back and forth about this regarding how service oriented you wanted Ether to be, and what you're currently doing in India as well. So, was it always like this? How did it come up, like during the prototype build?
So it was like this service oriented part. Uh, it's very striking, because it kept going in my head that why aren't other companies service oriented? Why are we doing this? Like, what is, because it was never that I and Dhruv, we sat together, or other core people of our team, we sat together and we're like, we have to provide the best service. Whenever a problem would come, we would just be like that, what else to do? There is a problem, we have to solve it. And pretty soon, like, why to sin out and just solve it? So it was always very obvious. But like a month ago or so, I was just talking to Dhruv, and I asked him that, why did this happen? Like, why are we so service oriented? Why other people are taking a couple of months and we are doing it in a couple of hours? Like, it's a very striking difference, right? How is that the case? And he and he said that, like, I thought that is because we're Indians and we are usually so self, but it's all around in our company. It's in our culture. And he said, because we launched our hand in like midst of COVID, between first and the second wave in October November 2020, and everything was closed, and like every industry was suffering, and so were we, right? And we were so we were so starved by the lack of sales, that we would just be like that, like if there is a problem, let me solve it, because there was nothing else to do, right? And this is, I think, that has become, and like people who would join our company would see the same passion in the core team members, that like, yeah, this is what we have to do as soon as possible. This is the first priority. Leave everything else, and just, if someone has an issue, who has paid for this hand, and it is not just about their money, but what expectations they had. Now they're dependent on it for their daily activities, right? We cannot let them suffer. And so I think like we never discussed about it, but it was just ingrained in us. Yeah.
So before we move on to our next segment, I just have one last question. How did the company name came to be Ether, and why Zeus? What is the reason behind naming both of those?
Yeah. So okay, there's a short answer, that ether, in, I think, Greek, or Norse, Greek mythology, it means that, it's a special stone that brings ideas to reality, and Zeus is, it's the god of lightning and thunder, and it's like power in your hand, right? So yeah, so I can just pretend that these were the thoughts, these were the thoughts that we had while naming. But so actually, initially our company was called something else, right? But when you file for registration, you have to provide 3 4 options, right? And like, so first option was like, and we were pretty confident that we'll get it. And the second option, we thought, we kept it as Ether Biomedical, and we didn't get the first one. We just got the second one, and the company got registered, right? And we were like, okay, now it's done. We cannot spend more money to get it rectified. We didn't have that. And regarding, and with Zeus, but yeah, like for Zeus, we actually sat down and thought that, like, all other bionic hands or something, like they have some hand or bionic or limb, or like something like that in the product, right? We always wanted it to be, like something different, like, like something that when you have to say that, okay, what I'm using, or even when you purchase it, you don't feel that, okay, like, I'm purchasing a hand. It just sounds like, in our mind, it just sounded, like pretty weird, right? And we wanted it to sound cool, and demonstrate the kind of power it will provide you, rather than rather than just be that, okay, you were missing a hand, now you got a hand, right? We wanted them to feel that, okay, now they have something powerful, and like, then they were not missing anything, right? Now it is just a tool that they have, that gives them power, right? So that's where the idea of Zeus came from.
And Zeus can lift 35 kgs from what I
Yes,
read,
yes, yes,
77 pounds, right?
yes. This was also one of those things, because people used to buy the hand, and then they used to take care of the hand instead of otherwise, right? So we just wanted them to be that, okay, use it whatever, however, the way you like. It is strong, it is robust, it will help you with everything, and even if something goes wrong, you will get it serviced like that. Yeah.
So, what's the current sales like for Zeus? Like, are you allowed to disclose that publicly? Am I supposed to ask that?
Uh, on that, I would say that we are doing pretty well, right? If I can just, like, I think I even mentioned that to you one time, that, if I like, if from tomorrow we stop doing R&D, our company will become profitable. But because we are so much devoted into pushing the envelope forward in, developing something new, right? So we are continuously looking for new things, how we can improve that, how we can incorporate your feedbacks to create something better, to give a better outcome, right? and uh, and our focus is to become profitable, uh, either by like Q4 of this year or Q1 of the upcoming year.
I see. So what was the first set of response like when you initially launched it in the market? I guess the process you told me was you were approaching specialists who would consult with patients and then offer the option. So what was their response like when you showed them, you know what, these are the features that Zeus gives, and this is the edge we have over maybe some of the more expensive prosthetics available in the market, and some of the less ones with less features and so on.
So, first responses. So, like the first and the only prototype that we created, right? So, I took it and I went to Arab Health, which is a conference that happens in Dubai, and then and this was like January 2020. And then in February 2020, I came to India for a conference, and I was supposed to go to other countries as well for conferences. But then in March came COVID and everything got shut down, right? So uh, one hand that we created, one and only prototype. It was only with me here in India, and rest uh, of our team was in Poland, right? And still in lockdown, but we were just like trying to find out some way, like that I can ship this back, or So the first responses that I had, like if I just talk about like laymen who were not from this industry, right? We had in Arab Health and India, it was really positive, right? It was really like in Arab Health, like most of the people were laymen, but some were from our industry. It was really positive because there were a lot of companies that they had heard of that, okay, they're trying to do something new, right? But like most of them were not able to enter into the market, right? Because it is a medical device, it has its hardships with it, right? And especially without compromising on any sort of quality, right? We were able to bring down the price, right? So this was something very surprising, and we got a lot of attention. Everyone was really excited, but sadly in that COVID period, right? So we got a lot of hype, but we were not able to build up upon it. Yeah. First responses that we got, and like from patients and from clinicians here, right? Uh, it it was it was it was lukewarm, right? I'm being very honest here. They were very excited with the new product, but in medical device industry, you always want to go with something that is reliable, right? So like so and our only point was, just give it a try, just give it a try, try it on with one patient. We had a person who does not have a hand, and as part of our team, so he would use and show it in daily activities. That's when slowly these clinicians, because we're not directly going to patient, we have to convince a professional in between, and then he has to attach his own name and his clinic's name when he's promoting our product or giving it to someone, right? So that was a hardship, but when they started seeing that, okay, there are already people who are doing it, that had a snowball effect, right? So with product, they were always pretty excited, even though like any product, it always has some flaws, and and I think the best thing that we did, and we had the it was a blessing in disguise, because the sales were so less, right? So even we had that breathing room to make a lot of changes pretty soon. So every week the hand would be different, we would improve something upon it, right? So yeah, and I think that's the thing, like even more than what our product was during launch, people I feel they really appreciated that, if there is a problem, they're like in middle of the night, we were responding to phone calls, and and we would and we were just 4 or 5 people. So everyone would come together that, okay, now is the issue. Like even the person who is in accounts is like, yeah, I have an idea, maybe we can solve it like that. And we would always have two solutions. Like first is, what can I do at this exact moment so that the hand is still usable, and what changes can we make in long term so that this would not replicate, right? So, and yeah, and as and when people started using it, uh, now I feel, howsoever response we are able to generate in a lot of countries that we are in, is that, uh, more than Zeus, I think they are confident on our servicing, right? On the team. So like now it has flipped, and that's the reason like we were able to get such a good response for ADP, and it's a software product, so it still has product. It still has bugs, and it will evolve with its own pace. But now people trust us that, okay, like they are the ones who built Zeus and who supported it. They're not going to go anywhere, and that's why even with the something new, we trust them more than the product now.
Yeah, that shows that definitely shows like the way you guys have evolved in the last few years, especially post COVID. And I remember from one of the last conversations, you guys raised another round in December.
Yes, 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 yes. So it got closed in October, November. Recently, we had like news, and so we raised $5.8 million, and in first tranche, and the second was $1.5 million from another set of investors, and this was so yes, and today itself, so today was our management meeting, right? And we have had really good, really good people in our team, things that we were lacking, or things we thought, we think that we can still do better, right? And with conversation with them, right, uh, we just had this thought that, this is this we could not this time is the best time in the history of our company, right? We are secured, uh, regarding funds, because it is always, it is always going on in the back of your mind that, we are doing R&D, people respect it, but during that, you have to burn some money, right, to create, to innovate something. But this is the time that we have raised money, we have a clear path, going forward. It could not have been better. Zeus on in itself is able to do so many sales that, like that department, like, mechanical development, production, and sales, like, Zeus money from Zeus can take care of that, right? So this is something that, we have never been this secured before, right? So now it's actually the time to, like, that we can that we can actually flourish, right? Now is the time when we can, like all those things that we think that, okay, we left those loose ends, now is the time that we can tie it, right? uh, and build a really, really solid and robust team, so that it is not just dependent, like, on individuals, but the team structure is so sturdy, right? That we are ready for, any kind of unforeseen circumstances, right? Initially it was just like that, we can plan ahead, right, what these things can bring, and we have learned so much with the first, with this first product, right? That moving forward, we have those resources to have a foresight, and yeah, just create a bang going forward.
Makes me really happy. I don't know if you remember, like the first time we actually talked, I mentioned like back in June when Newzchain actually started, and I was in the writing team initially just to orient the writers, and it was one of the first few startups which I actually worked upon. and following your growth closely, it just gives me immense happiness. And like, and now you being on the first podcast as well, so it's
I'm,
like a story to be published.
I'm really glad. And as you know, this is my first podcast as well, right? So I don't, I don't know how the outcome would be, but a few things that I feel like with all those ups and downs and the vision that we have for the future, right? Building even better product, right? Like so, our dropout rates are like like very like a lot better than the market standards already, right? But how we can translate that to different products and everything, I think going through all of these things and the vision that we have for the future, one thing has always been like even now, and I think going forward we would want to preserve it, that that more than the product, service comes first, right? And that I might have repeated that a lot of time in this podcast, but this is something that we are really appreciated with, right? With Zeus, I always managed to get a lot of eyeballs, but the people who have worked with us, they can vouch that like the the product is nothing without a very robust team that is backing it day in and day out, right? Because there can be any sort of circumstances, right? But if you're confident that, okay, problems will get solved easily, right? That's when people trust, that's when you build trust, and that's when you can actually depend upon those people to be with you for the long term.
Yeah. It's almost like similar to what Apple did with their product. Their products were in the market. They did, like, as you are also planning with new products. But at the end of the day, globally, they were known as Apple rather than their products itself. And through your service, I guess that has been pretty evident. And what we have seen is Ether is making a mark across the world. I guess your major markets are in India, US, and Poland, apart from other countries. So I would like to ask you, like, what's the major difference between the demand across all these countries?
The major difference is insurance scenario, right? Which I would really want, like, currently none of the assistive devices, it's not just about bionic hand, but none of the assistive devices are covered under insurance, right? And I think government and its organizations are like, as per my understanding and my discussion with people in government and related research organizations, they are working to get it implemented really really soon. And I think that would create a very very big difference going forward, right? Giving people like, it will give them a lot of security, because it is just not that, okay, like I suffered an accident and now I'm not in a hospital bed, but actually enabling people to get back to work, get their independence, right? So that will help them. So currently it is not in India, but it is in Europe and US, right? So that is one thing that it changes the decision maker, right? Here a person has to, like, because he has to spend money out of his own pocket, right? So and because it is it is a bit hard to imagine that how working with a bionic hand will be, right? So it becomes a tougher decision for them, right? And also where already the confidence rates are so low because of other products and, like, legacy devices which are out there, right? So it becomes difficult for them to adapt something new when they have to pay out of from their own pocket. But in US and Europe, it's a bit different, and not in Europe. Like, even in Poland, there was no insurance. They're just bringing it right now, and so a few countries where assistive devices are covered under insurance, that's where people really they really can go a step further, right? And they can they're ready to accept and appreciate the differences that we're bringing, because they don't have to pay either wise, right, either way. So they, like, of course, they are also concerned because there is copay or something, like, right. So they are concerned about the cost, but not that much. So they are ready to accept the new things that we are bringing, right. And they're also ready to accept that, okay, it's a new company, but they have built something robust. Let's give them a chance.
So, like when you talk about countries like India and Poland, where insurance is issue is still prevalent, do you think affordability also plays a major hand, while people are making such decisions?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is like, we have one slide in our pitch deck, which has not changed for quite some years now, which is that so there is not just like, dropout rate is also a problem, where you have purchased a product and now you're not happy with it, and you have to and you're not using it. But even adaptation is very low, right. And in that, one of the first things is affordability, right. And we have like, amongst the contemporaries of Zeus, I can confidently say that we are one of the most affordable ones, if not the most, right? So affordability has always been our mind, but not with regards to money, but with regards to access, right? People should have an access to it, right, without having to compromise in quality, right. Because like, if you're spending 1 lakh rupees instead of 5 or instead of 10, but you're not using the product, you're not using the full benefit out of it, or that is not solving your problem, right, then even that money is waste. One of the first things which I like, whenever a patient comes in direct contact with me, one of the first things which I ask them is that, what are the primary goals that you envision you'll be able to achieve with a bionic hand, right? Uh, if, and very truthfully, if they would be able to achieve it with substantial training with our Zeus, I tell them, if it is something that they won't be able to achieve it, sometimes, like, the case is very difficult anatomically, right, or we're not able to get signals physiologically or something, right. So if they would, or their expectations are too high, I tell them very outrightly that, I don't think our product or any other product in the market would be able to solve your issue, right. That even spending a single penny on it would be waste, right. So affordability is at our core, we always think about it, but without compromising on any sort of quality, that always comes first, right. When they compare, like, even when anyone asks for me to compare other products or something, right, I never mention the price. I never mention the price. The whole pitch is over, and after the pitch is done, they come to me personally, like, but actually, how much should I pay to get these features and everything? And that's when I reveal the price, and they get pretty surprised that, okay, wow, right? so, so affordability is there, but it's in shadows. First thing is no compromise in quality. A person, even if he's paying a single rupee, should get value out of it.
Like if we were talking about how like you set up your manufacturing in Poland, right? So why there? Like, what was the reason behind, apart from the grant that you received? What was the major reason behind setting up your headquarters and even the manufacturing plant right there?
So, like, why did we set up initially was like, there was a grant, and along with grant, it was not just the money. They gave us some like, basically credits that we could exchange for help from their engineering experts in Poland, right. So, and we were just like a very small team, 3 4 people there, 4 5 people there, right. So and we had to we use those credits to get that information, and those people were Polish, right? So and like so Drew was the first one who went to Poland, and he met a couple of really interesting guys in that in that grant cohort who then became part of our team, and they are still working with us right now. So they're part of our core team as of now, right? So that was the reason why things got started there, right? But just when the time when we thought that, okay, like while during manufacturing and everything, maybe we can diversify, explore the opportunities in India. That's when COVID hit, right? So COVID was one of those restrictions that we like. I was already I was already not in Poland. I was in India, so already we were, and this is a very like not very. It is a hardware product, right? So you cannot build it separately from your own home, right? So we had to keep our team together to actually develop something. And as I mentioned earlier, that like it would be a new hand every week. We would learn something and implement in the next day, and it was only possible because there were just 2 3 people in the whole like development, testing, and production, right? It was just 3 4 people who were doing everything. The person who would repair our hand or give feedback on why something went wrong. He's the same person who would rectify that issue in the next model, and we would just implement it in the next batch, which would be in the next week, right? And this was like, so our hand is 3D printed. That gave us that kind of flexibility that we can experiment on daily basis. We didn't have to invest in a very expensive molds and then get stuck with thing that is not working, right? It gave us a lot of flexibility, but it required the team to be concentrated in a single place so that we can actually maximize on it, right? So uh, problem with shifting manufacturing at an early stage, like, comes with a lot of costs on its own, and especially with like initial couple of years of COVID where it was very uncertain, right? So we were really really very conscious about where we are spending money, right? And we had to like take this decision that now when the hand has it has evolved, and it's been almost like a year now, like I think more than that, uh, we don't have any like major changes, like maybe not this screw but that one, right? Apart from that, hand has like grown itself into it. So now is the time, and especially with this new fundraising, that we are exploring this option, that exploring the option of either contract manufacturing, or exploring the option of diversifying our team for, so that we can segregate manufacturing, right? So this is something also that is in works, right? uh, so yeah, let's see what happens in the future.
So, have you ever thought about expanding like the manufacturing unit outside of Europe, like say to a place like India and China, where I guess even some of your competitors would rather head towards because of the lack of labor cost, the like more affordable setup of the manufacturing units, and certainly the aid from the government right now, who are inviting like companies from outside, startups from outside to invest within their companies, and human resource majorly.
Definitely, we are currently using. So currently, we have a substantially big team in India that assists our people in Poland and US, right? So, but in terms of the services that we are providing them, right? So we are actually using the talent pool that we have here, and utilizing it to grow, right? But and definitely we have thought about this a lot of, separating the manufacturing, right? Considering this as a niche product, right? So, like the unit economics have to make sense. Currently, we have one big office where everything just happens on one floor, right? So it's very 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 efficient, right? So like compromising on that, right? Initial costs of setup and training, that would be like we have to take that into consideration as well, right? So we have this in back of our mind, right? And also, like just thinking about the cost of assembly and the components, right? So how will we able to maximize on it so that we can translate that benefit to the end user, right? That is like these are all the things that are continuously going on in our mind, right? And uh, yes, of course, India is blooming, I think, at a rate that would make like like that we are really proud of, right? And it has helped us, grow a lot, right? And India is the reason, right? And the resources and the opportunities that it brings is the reason that Ether is present, right? And we always want to give back to it, right? So yeah, as I said, now is the time that we have been the most secured, and now is the time that we can actually experiment and make ourselves robust and prepare for the future. And amongst others, this is also one of those idea of diversifying our manufacturing unit to India. So let's see. Hopefully, in really near, in like very near future, we'll be able to achieve that.
We can proudly call like either like a proper Indian startup with the way your team has been working and like just the core ideology that you have, right? Something that I have noticed in recent times, or Indian hardware startups, they have a lot of difficulty in growing and like raising funds and just moving out into the world to make themselves a global product, something which Ether was able to do with Zeus. So, what do you think can these startups do better, and something that you might, like tell from your own experience that you did different, so like to achieving the success that you have right now?
Yeah. Uh, as as I said, and regarding that lean startup book, right? That like that we've made all the we have actually, like ticked all the boxes of the pitfalls that you should avoid in a startup. So we have ticked everything, right? And what will we do? But on the first page there was one thing that like all your sins will be forgotten if your product is good, right? And I think that's what has happened to us, that our product, not just use, but the whole concept of rehabilitation, we were so invested into it. And I think that was also one of the reasons why we I think, like why we maybe ignored or didn't have time for maybe marketing or outreach or something, this and that, because we were so invested in providing this, like this whole like proper rehabilitation journey to a person, to get to maximize on on his or her potential. So my like my only suggestion, or like thing that I think I have learned is, mm, maybe there is a connotation that like that because India is a price sensitive market, right? Then maybe we have to cater to, and to cater to that, maybe we can cut some corners here and there, right? But these are the things that won't translate in long term, right? If you just look at history of brands from India who are still present and people are diehard fans of it, they're the ones who didn't compromise on the quality, right? because like it's not just once. And like, even though we want our product to be like first and last time you buy a bionic and it lasts your lifelong, right? But you have friends, and you'll they will, even if you're not an evangelist or something, they'll know realistic difference that Zeus has brought in your life, right? And they'll know the realistic difference or difficulties that a certain product has brought in your life, right? And that's when maybe you'll lose your grip on the market. You'll lose your trust, right? So building trust, building a good product, right, and giving good service, I think that's when. And Indians are like, they're known to give great service. They're absolutely killing it in giving great service, right? Not just not just for any software products, but I think if you just translate that into hardware products as well, right?
And even the service sector, like startups who have like outperformed in service sector compared to the rest of the world. Yeah. So how has the competition been towards, like Ether and Zeus in particular, like both in the Indian market and globally? Like, who are your major competitors, and how do you plan, like to tackle them in the near future as well?
So I'll split our major competitors into legacy companies and the newcomers, right? So legacy companies, they don't have a singular product, right? They have like 50, 100 other products associated with them, right? And what we were able to notice is that their level of innovation, it's very, very slow. It's very slow. It's not just that, okay, they are expensive, but with changing times they didn't adapt, right? So and so what we are noticing is people really appreciate that, okay, over the years what were the difficulties and what new technologies have brought in. Like, for example, in our mobile phones or in our digital therapy platform, there is live session and remote session. So even if you are in different countries, we'll be able to do that. And we are currently in different cities and we are able to talk. So these things, even though you're not thinking consciously about it, it is in your brain that why is this the same what it was 15 years ago? Why is why have they not evolved, right? So this is something that that legacy companies are suffering from, and something that I would like to believe that we are focusing more on innovation and using latest technologies. So so but because it's a medical device and trust comes first, so they still have a place in the market. And going forward, I think if we uh, if we keep on what we are doing right now and improvise on our shortcomings, we would be able to build trust in a lot of people, and this is the way that we are planning to expand. Talking about the newcomers, there are a lot of companies at a lot of different price points. There are companies who are like cheaper than us, and then there are companies in maybe they're in a different geography. So we are not we there is not exactly some like collision with us, but we are always aware of what's
Mhm.
going on, right? Mm, what we are what we are yet to see, like what I think what I'm yet to see is is a is a new company who can reliably build trust for a certain duration, right? So and and that's actually a very beautiful thing, the thing that even they are innovating and they are getting a platform just like we wanted a platform, right? At that point, that give us some chance. Of course, like there is a place for everyone, right? And yeah, like if there is a lot of competition, I think that will keep us on our toes and won't let us relax like those legacy companies. And I would really want to, as I said, our Ether digital platform, like we want to build it as a platform where even other companies who are not like, even if they are our direct competitors or something, or and if they are in the same industry but different products, right? We want to incorporate that, because the end goal is, uh, rehabilitation should be data driven, and we all have to come together to improve people's lives, right? So yeah, welcome everyone. uh,
So, I guess we should wrap this up. But before we go, I just had one last question. So, what is next for Ether and Zeus?
we are uh, we are we are all ears, right? And we are listening to the feedback that we have received, and we know where we can do better, and that's what you will feel. We That's what we hope you feel with the next line of products that we are launching, right? Faster, stronger, smaller, like uh, to solve even more issues going forward. So that's and as I said, that our target is to make it more accessible to people, right? So we are exploring new countries, right? We are exploring like new opportunities as and when they come to our way, right? Wherever and howsoever we can help different people, right? mm, we frequently hear about these wars that are going around in the world, right? And people are suffering a lot, right? And howsoever we can help in that places, we are always ready for that, right? And we are doing it, and there has been a news coverage about it, that like our product has is being used in these places to assist war veterans, right? And we are very very happy about it, that because in the end it's all people, it's all lives, right? That we want to support. So yeah, this is what is next for Zeus, continuously building better products, and give help people live a better version of their life. Yeah.
So, when are we expecting the next version of Zeus?
Pretty soon. Pretty soon.
I hope you can disclose it the next time you're here.
uh, Absolutely. I really hope the next time I'm here, our next version is on the table, right? But I think we want to build that the drum roll before we release the next in line.
And I hope when Dhruv listens to this podcast, you also you're most welcome to assist Faith next time to be here. And yeah, I hope you can both come here again with the next product. Thank you for being here. It was really nice having you, and I hope we can stay in touch